But then one day, I woke up and it was quiet. Take control. Bring me where I need to be. Place my feet where they need to be. Use my pain to mature me and to grow me and to get me closer to you and stay close to you. And then he cleared my mind. And then I realized that it wasn't him trying to speak to me, it was him trying to clear my mind so I could actually be available to hear him speak. Hey guys, welcome back if you're a new viewer. Welcome to my channel. If you've been subscribed, welcome back. I'm more or less kind of back. This isn't my first video back, and I'll kind of slowly ease back into the posting schedule. But yeah, for anybody that wasn't around whenever I made the video or is a brand new viewer, first off, welcome. Thank you for joining me. And to explain kind of what happened, I have a video explaining it, but I'll just do a quick little explanation. I did a fast of social media. I started probably, I don't know, second week of January, and I'm still technically doing it, but I'm not really going to be doing like the promotional stuff, so I'm not going to be on Instagram or whatever promoting stuff. I'm just going to be posting on here, and then I'll eventually get back on Instagram. But yeah, that's a little update. But yeah, I'll be doing more content surrounding the things that I kind of worked up while being on this fast, which is a lot, by the way. But so stay tuned for all these upcoming videos. I hope y'all like them, and I hope you like this video. Without further ado, let's get into it. I don't deserve this second chance. I don't deserve the second chance God is giving me. I went from a horrible place in my heart, where I believed truly that I could never be loved, never be desired, never be wanted. And I believed it. Truthfully, I believed all of those things that were spinning in my head, that the enemy just kept telling me over and over and over again. But none of those are true. And I'll tell you why. It's because I don't deserve a second chance is what I said and would have said a couple weeks back. But because I put my trust in God and actually put it all at his feet, I don't think it would be right for me to say I don't deserve a second chance. I think, and obviously it's kind of one of those things where it's like we don't deserve forgiveness, we don't deserve all these things that God gives us, but yet we get it anyways because of his son who died on the cross and took the price of our sins. But if I'm being completely honest, I don't deserve a second chance, but I'm grateful for the second chance. Now let me explain what I mean. The second chance isn't life or death. It's not a last-ditch effort on, if I don't do this, I'm done for, which is kind of true. But this is a second chance to actually put my trust fully in God and not just say it, but actually put action to it. Because that's what I've been doing recently, being on this fast. And being on this fast has made me realize a few things. One being that it's okay to not have anybody talk to you throughout the day. And it was hard for the first week, 2 weeks, because I had nobody texting me. I had nobody to talk to really, because everybody that I wanted to talk to, college, school, work, on my breaks they were busy, and on my times when I was working they were still busy, or they would send a text and I just couldn't respond. But as I went through it more, I realized that I wasn't alone. And yeah, I'm gonna go there. God was there with me. But it wasn't just that, and it wasn't all in a good sense either. I realized that my thoughts were louder than ever. But I could actually hear them this time. Flip back a couple pages in my chapter, December. I had so many things going through my head that I probably couldn't even mention a single one of them just because of how many there was. I wasn't sleeping because my mind was constantly on. I couldn't turn it off. It was constantly racing and racing, faster and faster and faster, never stopping, never seeming like there was an end in sight. But then one day, I woke up and it was quiet. And that was the first time that my mind had been quiet like that in I don't even know how long. Years. And I'm forever grateful to have that again. But it wasn't by accident that happened. Through this entire fast that I've been doing every single day, I would try to pray more and more difficult prayers that are difficult for me to say out loud. They would start from, God, thank you for this day. Thank you for everything. To, God, use my pain to get me closer to you. To, God, I give up. Take control. Bring me where I need to be. Place my feet where they need to be. Use my pain to mature me and to grow me and to get me closer to you and stay close to you. And make me so disgusted of my sin that the thought of it makes me feel sick. Those were the kind of prayers that I had to pray. I didn't have to, I chose to. But those were the prayers that led me to where I am right now, talking to you about this second chance. See, God saw me where I was post-breakup. I mean, he saw me before, he saw me during it, but he saw me where I was, nonetheless, post-breakup, in a ditch. The farthest I've ever dug myself into. Previous hardships may have been 6 feet, 7 feet, 8 feet, but this was at least 60 feet down. I dug myself deep. My friends were worried, my family was worried, I was worried, and I know God was worried. But I also know God wasn't fully worried because he knew of the strength that I had to get myself out of there. And not just by myself, but through my friends, through him, through my family. I would not still be here if it wasn't for them. And I've said that before, but I can't say it enough. So, to the people who are watching this that were there for me when I needed it most, and were there for me when I had nobody to go to, I thank you. You all know who you are. But God saw me where I was, and he gave me the choice. He gave me the choice to either run with my problems, keep the baggage, keep the shame, keep the addictions, keep the guilt, the embarrassment, the anger, the sadness, the lust, the depression, the anxiety. Can I keep it real? He told me, you could either keep running with these problems that keep getting you hurt, or you can let me help you and drop them at my feet and come with me. And I did. I went with him, and it was a very clear option for me, but it was not an easy one. Because I would still battle with those things every day, but however, it wasn't like it used to be. I would find myself noticing the pain wasn't the same that it used to be. Rewind a couple weeks ago, the pain would be so hard, and it would be almost unbearable to the point of making me feel sick thinking about it. But it got to a point where I would think about it and the pain wasn't the same, and it wasn't a sense of feeling sick or anguish or suffering. It was a pain of peace. A peace that would stick in my mind, and it would constantly be a reminder to me every single day that I'm healing. And it's not on my own doing, but it's because of God. Because I allowed him to help and not just spectate. Because God, he wants nothing more than to help you. God is not a spectator. He is the player, the coach, and the owner. He wants to be there for you in every single moment. He wants to help you get out of it. He wants to show you the plans he's got and the blessings that he wants to bless you with. And yeah, it's going to be really hard. There's going to be hardships. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be things that are going to get in the way of you getting to where he wants you to be. But that's for a reason. There's a reason why taking that path with the devil is easy. There's a reason for that. It's because there's no consequences. You could, right now, go out this weekend, sleep with as many women or men as you want. And the devil's going to be like, good job. You're not his kid. You're with me. You're not. He doesn't want you. I do. There's a reason why it's easy. But it comes with a cost at the end of it all. Eternal separation from God. Now let me explain why that reason for going with God is difficult. It's because the devil doesn't like that. He doesn't like you trying to be with him. He doesn't like you trying to do good things. He doesn't like you trying to spread the gospel. He doesn't like you trying to better yourself. Speak to others with a sense of tone that he despises. He'd rather you be angry all day than happy and ecstatic, optimistic about the day, positive rather than negative. Devil hates that. But going with God gives you the most strength that you could ever get. And if you know about it in the Bible, it talks about the shield of faith. And that you could be hiding under that shield, flaming arrows coming down at you, temptation, guilt, heartache, suffering, pain, disease, addiction, all those flaming arrows coming down. But that shield's protecting you. And the more your faith grows, the more arrows that are going to come, but that shield isn't going to break. Every single time you continue to put your faith in God is when that shield gets stronger. Because you're not alone through your battles. There was plenty of times when I would think I was always alone. I'd be sitting there yelling, God, where are you? I can't hear you. Why are you ignoring me? Why does it feel like you're not here? God, you see me suffering. You see me crying. You see the tears that I've wept. You see the pain that I've gone through. Why aren't you talking back? Why aren't you here with me? And then he cleared my mind. And then I realized that it wasn't him trying to speak to me. It was him trying to clear my mind so I could actually be available to hear him speak. Because no matter how hard you try, if you have so many things in your mind, stress, anxiety, depression, work, relationship, whatever it might be, if you got all those things crowding your mind, you're never going to hear the voice of God. You just won't. There's too much noise going on for you to hear the voice of God. Or your faith isn't large enough to the point where you can't believe to hear him. And what I mean by that is you don't have to have this massive faith where you're preaching the gospel every single day, you're evangelizing every single night. In the Bible, it talks about a mustard seed, and that's how much faith you need. And if you know about a mustard seed, it's super, super tiny. But then when it grows, it becomes the largest in the garden. Just that little bit of faith is all it requires. This year was my biggest challenge yet, by far. And honestly, these last 3 years have been my biggest challenge yet. 2023, my dad passed away. 2024, heartbreak. And 2025 is a new start. A new second chance for me to do things by God. Do things for God. Do things because of God. Because if we're being real, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for God. I wouldn't be speaking here if it wasn't for God I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for God. None of this would be here if it wasn't for God. But it is. And the things that I've realized through this fast, yes, the second chance, but I've realized that God's been trying to speak to me all along. I just wouldn't let him speak to me. I wouldn't allow my ears to hear him. But looking in my notebook that I've got here, there is a lot of notes of different ideas for videos that I would have never thought of if I wasn't fasting. Because through that fast, it allowed me to breathe, take a step back, and really think. And I'm so grateful right now that the pain is basically not even there anymore. And there's no way to explain that other than the grace of God. Sure, you could have said it heals over time. It's been a month. Explain that. Year and a half. It's been a month. 4-ish months since it actually happened. But a month since the last heartbreaking thing. Explain that. It hasn't even been a month. It's been 3 weeks maybe. Maybe 4. Maybe less. 4 would be a month, so probably 3. This week was the most productive week I think I've ever had. Sort of. Yeah, I would say so. I don't even remember what I did Monday. Went to school, I know that. Tuesday, also went to school, but it ended up snowing, so then Wednesday we didn't have school, but I worked on some stuff for school, and got a lot of Bible study done. Thursday, I tested out on TIG for welding, so if you know what that means, good for you. If you don't, too bad. Look it up on yourself, because I'm not gonna bother explaining that. And then today, I helped our instructors make some tables and stuff. But it's been a productive week, just in the fact alone that on that Wednesday, when I didn't have school, I was doing more things than I ever thought I would. I cleaned my room a good bit. I was working on my OSHA stuff for my job. I was taking a lot of notes. And even just earlier, before I made this video, I was watching videos on editing tips, and I was writing down notes, and that was the first time I've ever done that, and the first time I ever would think that I would do that. But I did it. Back to the second chances, I think that through it, I've really grown so much just in the fact alone that I'm doing things that I would have never thought of doing. And I bet right now that if you probably go back to some of my older videos, even the tone of my voice is probably completely different. And I know that I've been doing a lot better just in the way that I've seen how my friends look at me. And a couple days ago, even one of my buddies, he said, "You're doing really great. And I can tell. And I can tell you're doing a lot better." And that really made my day, honestly. Because I knew I was doing better, and I'm glad people recognized it. Because for a while, it felt like, keep it real here. For a while, it felt like I was just that depressed person that nobody wanted to talk to, nobody wanted to be around, just because that aura of just depression and negativity was just constantly around me. That's what I felt. That's what I felt like I was. But now I know I'm not. At least anymore. But now I have such a just like a sense of just gratitude for everything that I have. And I'm grateful for the people I've met along the way. I'm grateful for the people that have hurt me. I'm grateful for the people that have healed me. I'm grateful for everything. I'm grateful. Anybody who's hurt me, I'm so grateful for them, because I would not be who I am today if it wasn't for them. Sure, it hurt. But let's be real. You can't really grow without going through something. Let's be honest. because hardships equal experience, and experience is knowledge, and knowledge is wisdom. And the more of experience you have through something, the more ways you learn to cope with that thing that you're going through. And I think the biggest thing, telling myself every single day that I'm okay and it wasn't my fault and they weren't the person, has been a big help. Because honestly, if I didn't do that, I think I would still be where I was a couple weeks ago. And I don't think I would be making this video. Not because I wouldn't be here, but because I would still be in a very depressive state. And I told myself that I wasn't going to come back. Actually, I told myself I wasn't going to come back for a couple months, but I'm very anxious to get back. But I told myself I wasn't going to come back until I was ready, until I was in a place, until I'm in a mental state where I could truly, truly speak and not just speak from hurt, but actually speak from the heart and speak from experience. Because I know there's people that are going through similar situations that I've gone through. Whether it's grief, heartbreak, suffering, depression, whatever it might be, people are going through it. It's a real thing. And it sucks. It's a disease. It really is. Even with addictions, it's a disease. And those things can be very, very difficult to go through alone. But you don't have to do it alone. And that's what I tried to do for so long. But I realized doing it alone was pointless because it would just send me back to square one every single day. Timeline would look like this. Wake up, go to school, get in my booth, sit down, scroll on Instagram, get myself in a depressive state. All right, that's about good. Set up everything else. Weld for like an hour, sit back down, continue scrolling, make myself even more depressed. You get the idea. It kept going on and on and on. And then by the end of the day, I would end up leaving early because I was so depressed I didn't even want to be there. Now I probably don't even touch my phone. The only times I touch my phone is to change the music. Maybe respond to a text. But I'm barely on my phone. And I think a big thing that helped is me replacing scrolling to reading the Bible. In those first couple weeks, that's what I would do. I would literally sit in a corner of my booth and just read the Bible and note as much as I could. And actually read it. Not just, oh, that's good, I read that page, but actually read it and take something from it. And I think that's been a very big help for healing, honestly, because I changed one habit to another. I changed scrolling to whatever I was scrolling to. And I changed that to reading the Bible, which is such a better habit. Because rather than finding things that matched my depression and amplified it, I found things that matched them and corrected it. And not in a managing way of, oh, you're not doing that right, I'm going to correct you. No, it was in a way of, you're believing this lie about yourself, and let me tell you why it's not true. That's what it was. Mark chapter 10, verses 27. Jesus looked at them and said, with man this is impossible, but not with God. With God all things are possible. And that kind of just pays homage to what I was saying earlier of just being like, you can't do this alone. It's impossible. Sure, you can find things to cope with it, but at the end of the day, after you're done watching that video, after you're done smoking that item, after you're done drinking that bottle, the feelings are back. And what do you do after you finish doing what you're doing? You do it again until the pain goes away. And then when it comes back, you do it again and again and again. And the cycle repeats endlessly and endlessly until you force yourself to break that connection, or until you force yourself to break that. And look, I'm not saying that it's easy, because it's not. And I know that addictions are very difficult. And I know there's addictions that are harder than the addiction I'm going through. Alcoholism and drug addictions are some of the worst addictions out there. And it's because once you get hooked to it, you just can't stop until you get that feeling again. And I'll never know what that's like, but I can only imagine. And it's similar with lust addiction. because you do that thing to feel pleasure. And then once it's over, you either feel sick or you feel conflicted with yourself. And then you do it again and you do it again just to find that feeling for a few seconds until it's gone. But through God, it's endless love and endless joy and endless gratitude and peace. And I'd take that over anything. Genuinely. And going through this fast, it's made me realize how much God has been there for me when I didn't even realize it. He's been there for me through everything. Through the heartbreaks, through the deaths, through the lost friends, lost family, lost people. Through the depression, through the anxiety, through the health scares, through the injuries, through the good times and the bad times. He's been there every single step, lighting your path. Psalms 119, verses 105. Your word is a lamp for my feet, a light on my path. He was there for me every single day, lighting the path, step by step by step by step by step, until I got to where he needed me to be. To either grow, learn, or be in a place where he's like, this is where I need you right now. This is the season I need you in right now for you to grow. Second chances aren't reserved for the holy. They aren't reserved for the good people. They aren't reserved for the people that are asking for help. Second chances are for everybody. Second chances are for the people that take that chance to say, God, I'm yours. I'm going to drop this all at your feet and walk with you. Second chances aren't just a second chance at a job, a relationship, friendship. Second chance at whatever minuscule thing, whatever materialistic thing it would be. Second chance is, here's another chance for you to walk with me, God. And I know the first time I didn't do it right. And I'll keep it real. I was doing things that I'm not proud of. You can fill in whatever blank you want. I was doing things I wasn't proud of. And I'm not proud of. But it happened. And it happened for a reason. It didn't happen just to be another page. It was there to be a full chapter on its own. It was there to show me, all right, this is what you thought was good. But here's let me show you why it's not. But we're gonna move on from it, all right? Because you're forgiven. Oh yeah, you slept with that person? Okay, that's fine. That's a sin, but my son, he paid that debt, so we're gonna move on from it, but that's not gonna leave your mind. You're gonna be thinking about that a lot. But you're still forgiven. And we're gonna move on. You know what the devil says? I saw this one video. And I wish I had the app for the person, but I don't, and they're on TikTok, and you know what happened to them. But and I know TikTok's back, but I don't have it installed, and I didn't have it installed when it dropped, so I can't get it back. Anyways, and he was talking about how he had this dream where he was with the devil and God, and he was in a room with his former self, fooling around with a lady. Do what you want with that information. And the devil was basically like, God, look at your disgusting son. Look at what he's doing with that woman. How could you love them? Look at what they're doing right in front of you. Look at what they're doing. Like, do you see what they're doing? It's disgusting. Look at what they're doing with your daughter. Look at that. And the person, he realized, he was like, man, what am I doing? What was I doing? I was letting Satan dictate who I was and what I was doing. And God was watching the entire thing. He also made a point that he was like, if God came back in that time, he would not be going to heaven. It's simple as that. He's committing adultery. And he never forgave. He never asked for forgiveness. So if God came back, if Jesus came back in that very moment, he would not go to heaven. He was a believer, but he never got to repent. He was actively going against God. And I think about that for myself now. It's like in the past, there's things I've done that I regret, yes, but I've repented for them and I've asked for forgiveness for them and I've been forgiven. But it's at that certain point where you're like, how long am I going to let Satan dictate what God thinks of me and how I think God thinks about me? For a while, I always thought God was disappointed in me and mad at me and he hated me. He didn't like me because of the things that I was doing. But it's not true. Sure, he might be a little... I'll put it this way. One of my best friends, Malik, there were some things that I ended up doing a couple weeks back. And what he said to me was, I'm not mad, but I'm disappointed. And I'm disappointed because you gave up. You gave up control. And that's kind of how God feels. And I can't speak for him, but it's kind of how it feels like it feels, you know? God's not mad. He's just disappointed that you stepped away from him for a brief moment. And you let Satan take control over your life. I don't deserve this second chance. But God thinks I do. I don't deserve to be at peace right now. But God thinks I do. I don't deserve to be free of depression as of right now. But God thinks I do. And let me reiterate that. He doesn't think, he knows. He knows that I don't deserve that. He knows I don't deserve to be filled with depression, filled with anxiety, filled with hurt, filled with pain, filled with a messy brain, a messy mind, just constantly spinning around and around and around, not able to decipher a single thing that's coming out. God knows that I deserve a second chance, and he knows that I deserve all of these things. And I'm experiencing it. You could obviously say, all right, Aiden, all right, whatever you say, you're just putting on an act, just trying to convert us to Jesus. Part of that's true. I am trying to get you to look at Jesus. I'm not trying to convert you. That's up to you. The whole point of spreading the gospel isn't to force people on the religion. It's to spread the good news. And that good news is that you are forgiven. And that God loves you. And at that point, it's up to them whether or not they take that next step and find out for themselves. This video is very important, and I knew that when I first wrote down the idea, I knew I had to film this one first coming back. I just had to. It was very personal and is very personal, and I don't think I could have done another video before it because of how strong of a topic it is. Because I know there's people out there who don't believe that they deserve a second chance. Especially those people that have wronged others. I can't exactly remember who the person was, but there's a video I saw where it was a person who had ended the lives of some people. And every single person that came up to the stand during the court was saying, go to hell, we don't like you, we don't want you, we hate you, I hope you die, I hope you go to hell. Until one person came up and said, sir, you make it very hard to believe what I believe. but I still believe that you were forgiven, and I forgive you. And at that point, the man broke down crying, because that's the first time he ever heard that during that time period. He probably didn't think that he deserved a second chance. I don't even know what he did after that. He could have thought nothing of it and just went about his ways, and then that was it. Or he could have given his life to Jesus, and then he would have been with God. And I know that's very difficult for a lot of people to hear, that you could do something so horrendous and still be forgiven. And for why that's the case, I do not know, unfortunately. The only thing I know is that their sin isn't greater than ours. And you can't compare the scale of one sin to another person's sin. Because if you think about it, a sin is a sin. It doesn't matter what sin it is, it's still bad. If you go look in the Old Testament and you look at the 10 Commandments, the majority of those, if you commit them, you're cooked, buddy. You're done for. Dog, if you I don't even know. If you kill someone, you're cooked. You're immediately dead. You're done for. If you commit adultery, I'm pretty sure you're also done for. But it's like most of those things is like you weren't forgiven for any of those. And that's where Jesus comes in, when he takes the ultimate price on that cross and is crucified and dies a painful, lengthy death for our sins. We should have been the people on that cross, but we're not, because Jesus took that ultimate price and he took that ultimate sacrifice. And that's why we're all forgiven. You deserve a second chance. God's there waiting for you with open arms. And he's not far. All you have to do is turn around and look up. Jesus loves you. See you in the next video. Peace.